I can't wait. Episode 2 in this series, I'm excited about it. So your gut is your second brain, and it's hangry. It's always hangry. So interesting thing I just learned from Chris Bumstead, my son sent me this video because I'm trying to be like the fittest I've ever been at 50, and he was like, look, and he's an Olympian, like he's won all these medals, everything, his physique is amazing. He said there is no magic pill, people. Like what you need is to live in the hardship. Like if you're trying to get to a certain weight or you have a goal, like we have to be okay with the suck. Like the suck actually can get us to the next level. Like the magic pill isn't there. And if we're taking the magic pill, I'm concerned about what it's doing to my wellness and for the well-being. I would rather, well, it's hard, I'd rather live in the suck if it can get me to the next level. And so I think about that with the foods that we're consuming on an everyday basis and that are living in our gut. And we all know, like after we have this delicious meal and then we feel real bad. We're like, dang, like that was heavy, that was a lot, why did I do it? I had dessert too, and you're just like bashing yourself about it. And look, I do it too, up and down. But there is something interesting about living in the suck and just being okay in the discomfort. And I think that the discomfort of maybe not eating those certain things, knowing that I can get to the next level of my wellness journey is important. But that's a whole different subject, and I apologize for bringing it up. But I will tell you, there's a program out there that changed my life, and I think that this is what ties in for me. So you probably heard it, many of you, Whole30. And it honestly changed my life. And I got to meet the owner of the creator of it, Melissa Hartwig, I think. Oh, she changed her name. Melissa Urban, I think it is. But anyways, so my wife said, hey, I've got something for you to read, because we were struggling with weight up and down, all that. And she had this amazing book that really tied in what we're eating, what we're putting in our bodies, and it's called Whole30. And I read about it, and it was like, hey, you go on a nutritional elimination diet for 30 days, and then we see what happens at the end of 30 days, how those foods interact with our body. And so the whole idea is, like, at the end of 30 days, then slowly start to integrate some of those foods that you took out and see how they interact with your gut. Are you okay with it? Or are you learning that maybe you have a gluten intolerance? Or maybe when you eat dairy, it's causing pain and you're farting a lot. Like, there's so many things that we don't realize we're eating and consuming, and it doesn't necessarily go good with our bodies, and it messes with our guts. So that program, I did it for 30 days. I ended up losing 40 pounds. I actually tried out for American Ninja Warrior. I felt the best I've ever been. In fact, day 18 says that you experience tiger's blood, and you feel like you're 18 again. So yeah, I'm pitching the book, the program. It's great. I think it ties in with the wellness. I'd love to connect that with the divine wellness part. In fact, after I've taken it so many times, I felt like the missing element of the spirituality around it. And that's what I'm kind of excited about in sharing with it, and tying in the biblical foods around it. So anyways, what he said was, the other thing too is doing things that you don't want to do. Like, what are you nervous about? What are you scared about doing? And to experience growth doing those things. Like, so for him, he was very shy, and he obviously won the Mr. Olympia like 5 times. And he started being in speaking engagements, podcasts, all that, and he was pushing himself in that. And he got better, you know? And so whatever that means for us, I think, so when you think of the gut health and the foods that we're consuming every day, like, what can we do that we don't want to do? So, like, we don't want to grab the apple, we want to have the brownie. But, like, why don't we start grabbing the apple? Like, let's just push through the suck of, we really want the brownie, right? But let's push through the suck. Because we'll probably experience something much better. We'll feel better, right? You're going to feel better after eating an apple rather than a brownie. You might get this really nice sugar spike and it's really good at 2 p.m. Like, I'm not going to lie, I'd take a brownie right now, but how's it going to feel after? And I will tell you, so we have a wellness director, Christopher, on our team, and he actually works at a senior living community, and he talks about how it really matters what you put in your body. So like, he works with seniors every day on body movement and helping them. And this one that stood out to me was, he's like, I just want to help them get a little better every day, like just a little bit better. And if we can get those small wins, like when you think about it from a football perspective, we just need another down. Like, let's get a second down. Like, let's get a second down, let's get a third down. So like, grabbing the apple rather than the fudge brownie is like getting the third down, right? Because we want to get to the finish line of the wellness in the body. But then he's told me about this particular resident, and she said that her finish line was she wanted to go to her grandson's wedding, but she already knew that it was at this certain church and there was 4 stairs that she had to go up. And so he was training her and preparing her to go up all 4 stairs. And so it had to do with some of the exercises and the stretches, some of the motivation and inspiration, because he said she got really tearful and sad about it. And he worked with her every single day to strengthen her legs, walked around the building, and they practiced on the stairs. And she proudly finally made it to that destination of going down and seeing her grandson's wedding, and the small wins around that. And it's like, that to me, that was really powerful, because it's like such a small thing, right? So when you think about it, like if you're young and you can just jump up 4 stairs, but when you're older and you're maybe at the last stages of your life, something like that is it's so huge. So his point was, it matters what you put in your body. Like, he was telling me, like, if you put a brownie in your body, like, is that going to help her get to the 4 stairs, or is that going to hurt it? Or the apple, And so I think it's about making those small changes. Let's live in the suck, so that we can reach our end goals. Like, I think it aligns with sacrificing and, what God's way of it's not about right now. It's about let's wait. All those things, like save money and, don't buy the expensive things. And I think in the end, you'll be better. So let me just tie this in here. So like, Proverbs 4:23 says, guard your heart, for everything you do flows from it. And then 3 John 1-2 is, I pray that you may enjoy good health and that all may go well with you. So I love Proverbs. Since we haven't done that, let's go to Proverbs, which, by the way, if you haven't read Proverbs, it is one of my favorite books in the Bible. It was written by King Solomon, who was David's son. And he was asked in the Bible, it talks about that God came to King Solomon and said, you can have whatever you want. What do you want? Well, I'll give you anything. And most of us would say, make me rich, make me famous, all that, right? He said, make me a wise king so that I may lead my people of Israel well. Well, God was so pleased by that he also blessed him with amazing riches and wisdom, and he wrote Proverbs, which honestly is the most wise things that you can read in the Bible. I promise you, whether you believe in God or not, read this. There's some practical things that are so relatable to your life, and to me it's a blueprint for living. I really do think that. So let's go to Proverbs 4:23. So 4:23. Okay, so above all else, guard your heart, for it is the wellspring of life. Put away perversity from your mouth. Keep corrupt talk far from your lips. Let your eyes look straight ahead. Fix your gaze directly before you. Make level paths for your feet. So I could go on, but one thing that stood out to me was I was thinking about it, and I was like, I'm going to try to do this today. Like, I'm going to try to film these episodes in this setting. There is no try. Like, you're going to do it or you're not going to do it. So, like, I'm going to do this. I'm going to do this. I'm going to give it the best that I possibly can. and it's either going to not work or it's going to work, but I'm not going to try. I'm doing this. Trying to me is like giving up. That's me saying I'm going to have the fudge brownie and I'm done. So I'm going to do it. I'm going to have that apple. I'm going to go up those 4 stairs. So love that verse. Now let's talk about a few things here. So I have no idea what this is, but I'm going to just read it. So the gut-brain connection. So I want to talk about the vagus nerve and the serotonin production, which is 80% in your gut. One day we're going to have a specialist and a doctor on here that will actually be able to talk through that. I'm a chef. I'm not going to be able to talk through it, but I do think that there's something huge about the gut and the brain connection. And one thing that also stood out to me was thinking about, like, when people say, like, listen to your gut, like, what does your gut say? And you kind of know if you should do that or if you shouldn't do it. And I think it's the same thing with food. Like, you kind of know if you should have it or you shouldn't. And then explain how inflammation in the gut affects your mood, energy, and brain clarity. Holy cow, I probably don't even need to like talk about that, but like we all know, if I have the brownie, which will be absolutely delicious, and it has cocoa powder, and I could argue that there's a lot of benefits in cocoa powder, but it's full of cream and butter and salt and sugar and all of that. Now, if I just have scoops of ground up cocoa powder or nasty chocolate bars that have no sugar, yeah, then you're getting the benefits, but it's disgusting. I'd rather eat a delicious apple that is crisp and sweet and grown from the ground. So I do think it affects your mood. Like, I know when I eat brownie, like, I feel sluggish and not great and almost disappointed. When I don't eat it, I don't run into those issues. And do I have brain clarity? I mean, when I eat sugar, I get some pretty good rushes, right? I think we love that rush. But I know when I don't eat the brownie and eat an apple, I get a little bit more sustained clarity in my mind. So, like I said, I'm not a scientist, but I'm just speaking from a chef's perspective. So, but I can't talk, it's like food impact. So we've all heard like the probiotics are really good for you. So like yogurt is great for you. So probiotics are microorganisms that live in your body that help break down foods. And so it's good to get more of those into your body so that it can protect your gut and help reduce inflammation, make you feel the digestion is going better. So I think that those are important things to incorporate in your wellness journey and the things you eat. So like we talked earlier about like kimchi, sauerkraut, those are full of probiotics. Kefir lime leaves, which actually is a Thai lime leaf that is incredible, that goes in curries and stews. So then some prebiotics, which are like the rich foods like garlic, onion, oats, bananas. Those are all things that, let's see, garlic and oats, garlic, onions were definitely available in the biblical times. I don't know if they were eating bananas. Those are more tropical, but I think incorporating those things into your cuisine is great for the prebiotics. And my thing is like, as a chef, if I know that these things like actually help people and heal and help with the wellness journey, like why would I not put them in foods? Like one thing that's so cool is that one of my business partners and celebrity chef, Stephen Beatty, he was at one of our communities and clients, and he was challenged to make the desserts more healthy. A healthy dessert is kind of interesting. Well, also in senior living homes, they have a lot of sugar-free desserts, which you wonder what they're putting in that to get it to be sugar-free. And those artificial sugars, what are they doing to our bodies? And so the challenge was, can you take classic desserts and actually use real sweeteners that are not just raw sugar and artificial sugars, but things like dates and monk fruits that have natural sugars in it, and recreate things like brownies and strawberry shortcake with that to reduce it. And guess what? He was able to do that, and he just reported back that the residents didn't even tell the difference, and it was actually reduced by like 75%. So like, deceptively delicious, adding these healthy things into your desserts to make them still be something that you can eat and enjoy, but not break the bank with your wellness. Like, I think that's cool, like to be able to do that and still have really good, tasty foods and even desserts and still be on your wellness journey. So what destroys gut health? So artificial sweeteners, terrible for you. But I got to tell you, I still am down with Coke Zero. Like, I literally, like, I try not to have Coke because when I read how much sugar is in the back of a Coke, and my wife will even like say, "Do you know how many tablespoons that is?" And piling that on a plate, and it's like it's like a cup. There's like a cup of sugar in a can of Coke, but it's delicious and it gives you that rush because it's that sugar that's in there. Well, that's really bad. That's excess sugar, and then there's evidence around seed oils. So that's what it says. I'm gonna have to do my research on that, but I have been hearing that from people that seed oils are not that great for you. But I really like sesame oil, so I need to research that. So I'm gonna get back to y'all on that. So then the chef connection here is how to sneak gut healing foods into sauces, soups, desserts, dressings, and then broth. Oh my gosh, I have to tell you a couple secrets about broth. My wife is sick right now, and I made her some chicken broth, and I did it with Costco chickens. So if you ever buy Costco chickens or Sam's Club chickens, pull all the chicken off of it, right? Do not throw away the bones. Like, make a stock. So it's so easy to just put it in a pot, put some carrots, celery, and onion, which by the way is mirepoix. It's French for 50% onion, 25% carrot, 25% celery, and it makes the most delicious base that goes into stocks and soups. And you can just cut them and put it in there, and then simmer them with those bones with water. And you can put like garlic and fresh herbs and bay leaves. Simmer it for like 6 hours, and then strain it out. And oh my gosh, it is the best tasting stuff. You'll never buy store-bought chicken broth ever again. And what I do is I'll pull out my nasty like Ziploc containers and stuff that I always hate, and I'll fill up those, and I will put them in the freezer and just pull those out whenever I need it. So love making broth, especially with chicken broth. And then, you know, sneaking in foods like my kids love berry smoothies, and spinach, you know, is great. Kale's great. So I'll actually blend that up with the berries, and it doesn't turn green because berries are so bright and purple, and it's hidden in it. And so you can hide different things like that, or even like breakfast frittatas. You can load it up with garlic and onions and those types of things, and then put in spinach and greens with yummy, delicious things like bacon, right? So you're getting a little bit of health in there with it. So our gut is always speaking to us. Like, it is, mine's telling me I'm a little bit hungry right now, to be honest with you, because it's like almost 3 o'clock. But it's about discernment, listening to the body that God gave us. So I really think that we can listen to our bodies and live in the suck a little bit more, so that we can get to the next stage of our wellness journey. Like, let's stop. We don't need to ask all these questions about what is good for us. Literally, God planted what is good, and you can go out and pick it and harvest it. And so I attest to you right now, if you want to be well and you want your gut to be good, eat more fruits and vegetables, eat lean meats, eat the things that are very simplistic, have recipes that are just 1 to 2 ingredients, do my little salt technique where you're not over salting. I promise you, you're going to feel better, your gut's going to thank you, and it's going to be great. So last thing, 3 John chapter 1, verse 2. Thank you for clarifying that. 3 John. So not John 3, because then John is a book in the Bible, and that would be chapter 3. And then there is 1 John, 2 John, and 3 John. We're in 3 John, so thank you for clarifying, Rob. So it says, verse 2 says, "Dear friend, I pray that you may enjoy good health and that all may go well with you, even as your soul is getting along well. It gave me great joy to have some brothers come and tell you about your faithfulness to the truth and how you continue to walk in the truth. I have no greater joy than to hear that my children are walking in the truth. So why did I read this? Well, first of all, I just have to say that I believe that that the book of the Bible is God ordained, and that John was a disciple and he's writing about health and goodness, and he wants us to be well. He's wishing his friends to be well, and I guess that's what I'm saying is adopt some of these small habits, and it can help you. It can help change your life from that wellness journey. Just learn a little bit more. Push yourself into the elements that maybe you're a little bit uncomfortable about doing, and it starts with some of the food that we're putting in our body. So Corinthians 9:27, but I discipline my body and keep it under control, lest after preaching to others I myself should be disqualified. Okay, here's the other one. But I keep under my body and bring it into subjection, lest that by any means when I preach others I myself should be cast. Okay, is that it, you think?
Yeah. I don't know.
It is but I discipline my body.
Yeah, just that idea that I'm making a choice that I'm going to do this. I don't know if that fits.
No, it does. So interesting. So going back to episode 2, there's another verse that is really powerful. And I remember, so Paul was an apostle. He wasn't a disciple, but he was an apostle. And by the way, if you don't know the story, it was crazy. He was on the road to Damascus, and he was persecuting the Jews and killing people and all that stuff, and speaking against Jesus. And I'm not trying to giggle, but the crazy part is he was struck with Jesus on the road. He was on a donkey or on a horse, and Jesus said, "Why are you persecuting me?" And he spoke to him audibly, and Paul was like, "Holy cow, you're real?" He didn't believe in him. And then all of a sudden he said, I don't know if he said you're going to be blind, but he became blind, and then he had to be led to Damascus, which was a town, to receive healing from somebody else. So it was a powerful way that God really spoke to him. Why did he do it? Because he was a scholar in the Old Testament, knew everything about it, and so you take someone that has been disciplined with the Old Testament and knows every verse and can recite it, and you bring them on the side of Jesus, then become a powerful tool for sharing the gospel, and that's what Paul became. So anyways, this is what he said. And this dude, he'd been in prison, he was a castaway, he was shipwrecked on boats. He literally probably could have died so many other times, but God saved him with angels. I think he eventually did die, and was he beheaded or something? But anyways, he fully believed in Jesus, and I think that interaction that he had is how he was able to do what he was able to do. So long story short, he says this, Corinthians 9:27, but I discipline my body and keep it under control, lest after preaching to others, I myself should be disqualified. And I think what he's saying here is and let me just put it in these words. We just signed up for a gym, and I wanted to have a trainer show me how to use certain things, and my son actually said, "You don't want to use any of those trainers." And I'm like, "Why?" He said, "Look at them." And I was like, "Yeah, but they might be knowledgeable about the equipment that's there." And he's like, "Yeah, but are they going to be able to help you?" And I'm like, "What do you mean?" He goes, "You're bigger than them." And I'm not trying to be trying to say anything here, but it's hey, I want to find people that are disciplining their bodies, that are better than me visually, that they're representing this wellness body, so that I can learn, what are they doing, so that I can learn from their discipline. So going back to Chris Bumstead saying, live in the suck, Paul's saying right here, he disciplines his body. He's living in the suck for Christ. He's living in the sin, realizing that he persecuted the Jews and talked bad about Jesus, and then recognized, holy cow, I was wrong all this time. And how he figured it out is God actually spoke to him and blinded him, and on this road to Damascus. So he had a change of heart and a new direction, and then recognized, I will die for this. I will discipline my body. I will go to prison. I will preach this everywhere to the ends of the earth. And that's how we got amazing books in the Bible that Paul taught us because of his knowledge. And so if he's saying, but I discipline my body and keep it under control, I think it relates to our wellness, people. Like we got to stop eating brownies and start eating apples and other things that are actually good for our gut and our health. So thanks to Rob Webster for that, finding that verse. So anyways, have a great day, everybody. Thank you for joining episode 2. Your gut is your second brain, and it's hangry.